am Sergi Desu, the purveyor of posteriors, the Mazaku of madness, small but fierce connoisseur of cake, friend of frogs, Pororesu Petron, many other monikers, self-appointed, mind you. Today I am here because I wanted to go ahead and do a breakdown of how my year went, right? Like everybody has their year in review, their wrap-ups and all that jazz. Uh, Call me a bandwagoner, and I decided why not go ahead and touch on how my year went, right? Uh, there was a lot that took place, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast, is it not? And I feel like it is more so for myself than it is for others to go ahead and start talking about some of the things that I experienced or partook in. I know I'm not going to be able to cover everything just because it's like, it's really difficult when you're just trying to get through things, as a lot of us have been and are still doing to this day. But I will do my very best to kind of give a breakdown month by month of how my year went. Some months are going to have a little bit more meat to them than others. That's just because there are a lot more significant things that took place. But I mean, hey, I'm yapping a little too much. Let's go ahead. First things first is I wanted to go ahead and do a check-in, which is very weird considering this is not live. It's not like I have people listening in live and in living color. I don't have a little chat box scrolling and all that jazz. But if you feel like you want to, you can go ahead down in the little comment box or even just hit me up personally if you have my number or my DMs and just tell me how you're doing and see if there's anything you want to touch on as far as how your year went. But yeah, I wanted to take a moment to do a little check-in just to see how everybody's doing. And what do you have in store aside from the fact that it is the holidays and all that stuff? Like, we just had to deal with Christmas, even though the time that I'm recording this is literally on the eve of that day, the holidays and such. Yeah. So, if you would love to, I would love to hear about how things are going for you and yours. And for me, I mean, I've prefaced this a few times. I'm here in Nashville. I'm staying with my Sibby Amani, the sweetest being ever, and just trying to get my feet back under me, man. This is just, woof. It has been something else. But we keep doing it. We keep moving, and we keep progressing and persevering. Um, I kind of gave a breakdown of what I'm going to be talking about for this one, but that's only the meat of it. At the end of it, I am going to touch on a few things as far as like media that I've consumed over the course of this year, be it a movie, a show, or something, stuff that I've watched on YouTube, or people that I've tuned into on Twitch, things like that. I might even get a little bit into music, but me, I don't consider myself much of a music head per se. I'm very much of the camp that if it sounds really good, then I'll listen to it. And I'm not the type of person that really gets hyper invested in a lot of different artists or groups. And it's not to say that I don't care, or I mean, maybe it is. Maybe deep down I just don't give a shit. And I'm just like, hey, if you're making good music, awesome. But I do try and make sure that I'm supporting people that they have good intentions for people like myself, or just certain communities that need to be supported properly. But yeah, uh, with all of that out of the way, also, I mean, I don't really care about the holidays like that, but I guess I should just kind of speak on how things are looking for the holidays. I mean, like I said, I'm here, in Yale, Tennessee, and I'm with my sippy, and it's like they've been doing their best to work through things just as much as I have, and I look at it as like it's a team effort, just looking out for one another, helping out each other, trying to do our best to be more communicative on things and be able to share in the joy of our beloveds and our people. And that's what I've been trying to do a little bit. I have been wanting to take a little time away from all of that though, because I call it the social detox, where I'm like I'm not trying to be as engaged in a lot of social spaces because it's like I just want to be able to refocus my myself, my entirety, and sometimes I just want to step away and not have to be focusing on people, right? But sometimes that's what you need in moments like that. I feel at least that's what I'm trying to learn as I go through things. But yeah, with all of that out of the way, uh, how did my January, the tip off point, right? The beginning of the year. So around January, almost a full year ago, what were some of the things that were really sticking out for me during that month? Because I know for that year, I had to sit through and I was like, is there anything really prominent going into this 2024 season? Because I mean, last year, near the middle of the year, I was in Baltimore. Like, I had just gone to Baltimore and I was making do with being now in Baltimore. Of course, that was the early stages. I was still trying to figure things out. I was like, okay, I'm no longer in Philly. I came from Philly. I went to Baltimore. I'm going to try and make things work there because I was living with some people in Philly. They ended up moving, and they're like, "Hey, unfortunately, we're trying to kind of do our own thing. So go and make it, kid. Go make it, kid." And I didn't really make it when I was in Philly, and that was also around the time that I ended up losing my beloved steed, my car, Louise. She ended up breaking down. So yeah, that was rough. But I'm getting too much into the 2023 thing. 2024, January, I was only a few months into being in Baltimore. This is like my first winter experienced in Baltimore. And and I mean, there was some snow. There was some snow. That was fun to witness. I didn't really get a chance to experience the Philadelphia snow like that, but it's all good. When I was in Baltimore, I ended up spending a little bit of time in the shelter. I actually came across this thing. It was called a mission or whatever, but they were like, "Yeah, this is mainly for people that are like dealing with drug and alcohol abuse and all that other stuff. So you can't really be here for long. We have like a little thing for people that are just homeless and not dealing with that stuff." I was like, well, I'll take it. It's better than nothing. It's better than just being on the streets. So I did that. I was able to eventually get put on with some services, and I was able to find like a co-living situation for a bit. Well, not for a bit. I mean, for the majority of my time in Baltimore, like I spent about a good year from that point last summer, kind of going into the fall, up until August of this year, and I'm really grateful for it. It was a very not steep learning curve, but it was different because I knew like it it felt like a step above being in a homeless shelter. and it was kind of like halfway house stuff. And it's like I was able to go ahead and find like little odd jobs to keep me afloat with that. I didn't really have my own private space, which was kind of the part that I didn't really vibe with. But I mean, it's either that or be out in the streets, right? So that's what I dealt with that. Um, January as a whole, I could honestly say didn't produce a lot for me as much as it was just okay. This is me starting to kind of put together pieces for how I'm gonna move during this year of 2024. Um, in February, though, that's when I started to kind of put things a little bit more in motion. I started looking at, okay, what sort of, I started realizing that there were a lot of like services that were available to people if they were willing to go out there and seek them. Started seeing that they had like school opportunities, like free cohorts and stuff. Um, I flirted with the idea of going to Lincoln Tech. Yeah, I think that's Lincoln Tech. And that was like a trade school and all that stuff. But it's like once I saw how much they were asking, I was like, buddy, I don't even have that. I've never had that type of money, so I'm Gucci. So I ended up started looking at like, okay, what sort of free opportunities do they have? I found out that there was something for uh, AWS, Amazon Web Services, but also for IT, and that was a free opportunity. Part of me feels like that would have been the thing that I would have went for, and honestly, I probably should have went for. But then I flirted with the idea of what if I got into like a trade and I found HVAC, and so I kept both of those, and I kept them for a little bit. I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit of research to see what sort of requirements and whatnot were going to be needed for both, kind of see the timetables for both. And for the majority of February, it was just kind of doing a little bit of that, as well as just kind of getting a little bit more acclimated with other community happenings in Baltimore. One of the main standouts for the month of February for me specifically was that I ended up talking to my stepmother for the first time in like eons. It felt like the relationship that we have is not bad. It's not like me and my biological mother, but I definitely felt myself needing to take time away from family as a whole. But I have these moments where I go ahead and I'm just like, yeah, I am not trying to talk to y'all. There's nothing for me to really talk to y'all about. It's not that I hate y'all. It's just I'm not about to go ahead and make the effort to keep you posted because my parents, they're lovely beings. They do their best, but I know that they're the type that they like to try and do a lot of regular check-ins. And me being the elder child, it's always like, hey, I want to check on my eldest, see how my eldest is doing. It's like, hey, I'm making I'm making as best as I can, chief. Like nothing's really changed, unfortunately, as far as like with life prospects and stuff. It's more so just like me taking it day by day and just kind of being in a bit of a survivalist mode, unfortunately. So, doubling back, yeah, I ended up having a conversation with my stepmother, and I was like, man, it's like the first time I've talked to her in Lord knows how long. So I was very much not expecting a whole lot of like, oh, well, it's so good to hear you, my dear. I was more so like, oh, so you finally remembered me and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I definitely do that to people. I'm not expecting a whole lot of, oh man, it's like, oh, it's my darling baby. Like, no, but that's actually the thing that happened. So to preface this, like I had just got done having my interview with Lincoln Tech. I had actually talked to my papa when I was going to Lincoln Tech, just to kind of keep him posted on things. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go and check this place out, see if it's decent. I mean, it was okay, but it's like that price was buns because I was gonna go for medical tech. So, which is how apropos because it's like my stepmother, she does nursing, and it's like me essentially kind of following in her footsteps, getting into the medical field. But that's something that I've always had a moderate interest in, even though I don't really go and make the effort to constantly research on like medical things when I know I can. I mean, I have the opportunity to do so. It's just I've been very unfocused on that, if that makes sense. But I digress. Like I did that and I got done and I was walking. It's like, man, like I had talked to my papa and he was telling me, "Oh yeah, why don't you go ahead and get in touch with your stepmom?" I was like, "Okay, is her number the same?" And he's like, "No, I got the updated one if you want." I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I did that. I shot her an initial call and I left the message just so she would know who it was because my number was also different. And I just went about my day. I was like, well, whenever she's got time, because I know her schedule can be very busy. And it's like what, not even 5 minutes later, after having left that message, she just gives me a ring, and I was just like, hello. And she's just like, oh my god, it's my baby gave me a call. Hey, how are you doing? And I was just like, oh, hey, hi. Oh, hi, oh, geez. Just taken aback by the initial just wave of just elation. And I think about that sometimes where it's like, even though I allow my brain to sit here and draw up my own assumptions, I don't have to feed into that per se. Where I'm already kind of shooting down oh yeah, this is going to be one of those, very kind of stern, like, oh, like you need to keep me posted. Like I'm sitting here worried sick because you're not talking to me and this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. Like, not to say that she didn't feel that way, but she met me with warmth rather than with a bit of not coldness. Well, maybe coldness. And it was nice. It was nice. It felt good. Um, I just let her know what the dealio was. She told me about how she was doing. She was doing traveling. She had a traveling nurse contract. So she was all the way up in New Hampshire. And I was just like, that's kind of sick. And we just got to yapping at one another and giving our virtual hugs and whatnot. Um, yeah, like the month of February was pretty much me taking what I had started thinking about in January and then bringing it into February and starting to kind of put the pieces together. And I enjoyed that conversation. That conversation kind of put me into a headspace of like, oh yeah, like there are still people that even though I've done my part to not keep them in the loop, they're just happy as can be whenever I do finally get in contact. And I mean that goes with like friends as well. Like having people that they're not really meeting you with like, yeah, I guess you finally remember that I exist and this, that, and the third. It's nice. I appreciate that. That was kind of how that all transcribed for me. So with March, I'm trying to remember how the weather was looking for March. I think it was still very much cool beans all about. Not as like frigid, but definitely like, yeah, it's still cold. I think it wasn't until April that things started to really open up, and I'll touch on that in a moment. But for March, I decided to bank on the prospect of going into HVAC. I had found a 4-month cohort with HVAC that was completely free. It was just a program that wasn't just in It wasn't just in Baltimore. They had one in my neck of the woods of North Carolina, but I decided to go and roll with that over the slightly longer cohort that would have been IT. Only because I knew, I mean, that'll always be there. They have them in various states. I just had to go and look up that information. I might actually link the thing for anybody that's interested. But yeah, I ended up going into that cohort, um, having had previous experience doing some sort of trade and such. For those that aren't in the know, I've done pre apprenticeship with commercial and residential painting. That was many, many years ago. I did that with Job Corps though. I did that through Job Corps, and then unfortunately for me, I tried to sign up to go into the painters union, but this was back in 2020. And unfortunately for me, COVID existed, and with that, I did not get in. So, c'est la vie for that. It was kind of sad. It was kind of sad times because I was really excited because I was like, okay, I had a chance to kind of do a few little things prior to that, but I was like, okay, this is my chance to like really make big money and also be a part of a union, and I couldn't have timed it any worse. So it is what it is. I could always go back to it. I enjoyed doing painting. It was very fun, very therapeutic. Love sandblasting, love pressure washing, just super fun. But some of the other things like working with speckle and learning how to varnish and all that stuff, so fun. Wallpapering was interesting. I know that that's kind of a lost art, but I had fun understanding the practice and the procedures of wallpapering. So I kind of harken back to those concepts in regards to going into HVAC. Obviously, not the complete same, but it was an opportunity to be like a dual threat, if you will, where it's like, hey, I know how to do stuff with painting. Am I an expert? Am I a master? No, but I can at least understand the concepts and the machinations, and that can at least get me off the ground running in some fashion. So I applied that with HVAC, and I was like, okay, I'll go and do this HVAC thing. It's only for like 4 months. I mean, the instructor, he explained it very well. He's like, you're not gonna become a master in 4 months. Like to preface this, and I ended up finding out that he was a graduate of Lincoln Tech. How apropos, correct? But he was also somebody that used to do a lot of work in North Carolina as well. So cool, small world stuff. But he told us, hey, look, it doesn't matter how many months or years you do in a classroom with this sort of thing, you're not going to learn enough in the classroom. You're going to have to go out in the field. You're going to have to be in the thick of things learning it as you're going along in the field. I was like, yeah. When it comes to like trade schools, I mean, honestly, actually, scratch that. When it comes to like anything that you want to be a professional at, I feel like, yeah, in a lot of cases, you're going to learn so much more actually doing the thing rather than just consuming books and videos and audio pieces and doing like training sessions and such. Like that helps you get the muscle memory and that helps you get the basics. But like being able to actually be out in the field doing the thing will show you how you're gonna grow. So I took that and I ran with it. Um, it was a bit jarring because it's like, how long has it been since I've been in a classroom setting? Like, I felt very out of place, especially as, like, at the time, a 32-year-old individual, and I'm just sitting here. Like most of the people that were in this cohort, I mean, it wasn't like specific, it wasn't like age capped or anything, but it's like I think there were only like two people that were older than me. And I was just like, yeesh. Like that's the that's what happens sometimes when you're getting into a field of learning, and it's not like, oh, high school or elementary or whatever. So it was fun. It was convenient because where it wasn't too far away from where I was staying, so I didn't really have to worry about, oh, trying to catch a bus per se. But I will say that it was super clutch because with it being a free program and whatnot, and they were really emphasizing having people stay on and complete and everything. They also gave us free month long bus passes, which was super clutch, so clutch. Because I'll actually touch on it a little bit for like the next few months that follow, because it came in handy so much so. For like the next few months, my goodness, from like March to about June, July, oh my goodness, that was my homie. That was like my free ticket to just explore not just Baltimore, but a lot of other places where I could take a bus or something, or even like a train in some cases. But yeah, with that, we'll actually shift over into what took place with me in the month of April, because now things are starting to warm up a little bit, and I'm starting to explore a lot more places. And like March and April, I was keeping it kind of close to the vest because of like weather, but going to libraries. Like I really became more of a library girly. Like even before that, like I didn't really touch on that because it's like it wasn't until things got a little bit warmer and I was like, yeah, let me go to more of these library events. I would go to a lot of because the library there, Enoch Pratt, that's the main library you would find in like Baltimore and in some neighboring boroughs and such. Very well put together. I love everything that they're doing. That I haven't been to a lot of different library settings prior to that, but I will say that that one was by far one of my favorites. I I couldn't have been any happier with a lot of the things that they were doing to kind of engage the community. And my goodness, not enough good things to say about that library. It really paid dividends being able to experience a lot of the different local artists or writers, rather. Like they had a lot of different things. Like something about being in More, man. Like I definitely would love to go back. I definitely intend to try and go back. As far as living there, probably not. But as far as visiting, hanging out with certain people, my goodness, like I get that More has a rap for its crime and all this stuff, but I mean, look past that shit, bruh. At this point, I feel like no matter where you go, you have a high chance of dealing with some level of threat, be it getting pickpocketed, having your car broken into, stolen, what have you, right? It's about being able to discern when you are in some actual danger or not, right? Because I know that there are certain places I don't need to be. I know that there are certain times that I didn't need to be out. But bro, I found a lot of neat things just getting comfortable going out a lot more. Considering that I'm all about being a homebody, but I think because of the co living situation also, I was like, let me get out and try and experience some things. So I'm really glad that I was able to latch on to that. And I actually ended up latching on to something else as time went on that I will definitely touch on because it it only added to the experience that I had while being there. But for the month of April, aside from being more in tune with going to the library and stuff, I also started to go ahead and get into going to cafes. And I'll see if I can get some photos as well if they have a website, but I'm going to link it as well. But my A1 Day 1 go to cafe, and I made a habit out of this because it became my hub whenever I was doing my initial blog posts and even when I did my free writing. But Koba Cafe. And this was on the other side of the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, like on the south end by Riverside, I believe. But I will link it and I'll see if I can put up the photos of that place. I think I actually want to say that one of my previous blog posts I showcased like the cafe, the interior at least. If not, I can see if I can find the photos. But every Sunday, like I was like, Sunday is cafe day. I'm gonna go to the cafe. I'm gonna sit there for a few hours, and I'm just gonna try and write, try and do some stuff, whatever that may be. And I made a day. I made a good day of it. I enjoyed it. I eventually started eating the food there because usually when I went there, I was just there for the vibes. I'd go upstairs, and I would just get to working on my little writing and stuff. Fun times. I ended up finding other cafes all around the area that were they were pretty decent. Um, some were a lot bigger than others. Koba Cafe was kind of like a converted house style, where it's like you have the bottom and everything. That's where you got the counter and everything, the kitchen in the back. They had like a bathroom that was very much giving like this is like an old house. And then upstairs, man, the upstairs was just major vibes, very cozy. Had like a lot of seating. Even had like a quiet room if you wanted to do like interviews and stuff where you just wanted quiet time. And I would usually try and nab that. But it was like a slightly bigger room meant for multiple people. But thankfully, whenever I would go, it was like not a lot of people, thankfully. So I never had to worry about, hey, can we use this room because we need it? And like, yeah, didn't have to worry about that, thank goodness. Yeah, April was just me trying to get into my cafe bag. Very fun times. Very much me getting out there. Not really stumbling across a lot of my people per se, not just like melanin, but like queer. And I mean that's okay. I wasn't actively on the hunt, but I was just kind of keeping a lookout to see, like what's the clientele, what are we, who usually frequents this place. And it's like it was a good mixture. I could tell that most of the people that go there were like local college kids, which is okay. Um, if there was one thing that I could take away from that experience, is that wherever I go now, I need to have access to a cozy cafe that I can just frequent to because the way that that can do a lot for the psyche, especially like if you're in a space where you want to have a not necessarily an escape, but it's like I need to reset and I need some place that I can just chill at. And if you don't have that at home, then hey, like nothing like a good cafe or a good library. It's always handy. What did the month of May bring me? Oh my god, this is when things started to really ramp up. Because, like, okay, I'm doing school. I've been doing school for, at this point, 3 months. And, like, the end of June is when we're going to be finishing the cohort. We're going to have our big local graduation at one of their schools and such. St. Francis, yeah, St. Francis. And they were talking about, oh yeah, the mayor's gonna be there, blah blah blah. It's gonna be televised or recorded at least. And I was just like, oh, cool beans, sure. I'm already dreading that because I'm like, great, you're gonna put me in front of this lens. Oh my god. Um, but I decided that I wanted to get a little crazy. I was like, yeah, I'm doing this cohort for friggin' um, HVAC. But what if I up the ante, right? What if I up the ante and also I'm forgoring. I'm forgoring. Well, no, I'll save it for the end. I'll save it for the end. So I decided I got in touch with somebody, and they're like, "Hey, so there's going to be some people that are going to be showing up, and they're going to be looking to find people that are interested in partaking in an entrepreneur program, also free." The amount of opportunities that I was starting to witness when I was in this space, if you will, it was mind boggling, and in some cases it was a little bit overwhelming, which I will touch on in a little bit. But yeah, they're like, it's going to be a free opportunity. um, at first they were like, hey, they're going to want you to put in some money. I think they were saying that's going to be like $50 per head, but like the content and stuff that they were going to teach us was at least well worth a couple grand. But we went into that, and like me, I was like, okay, I can go ahead and save up a couple of beans and see about like getting paid off. And they eventually said, you know what, we're gonna give this to you for free 99. We're not asking for any money. And I was like, okay, bet. I love me some free 99. I'm sure everybody else loves them some free 99. So say less, pimp. So I went ahead and I did this entrepreneurship, and it's it was a different space for me because a lot of what I consider that I try and do could fall into the realm of wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to be somebody that has their own and creates their own, and as such is able to kind of generate their own income. And I think having that opportunity allowed me to really start putting things together better as far as like what it takes to really do that sort of thing. I look at some of the people that I talk to or I follow, where they themselves are very much entrepreneurs and they've been doing it for a minute and they actually live that life. And it's very inspiring, and it gives me an idea of, hey, what if I got serious, right? And like, let me go ahead and actually try. Like, let me use more than just like 1% and see where that takes me, right? That's what that was kind of instilling into me. And yeah, for like, it was only 8 weeks. So like putting this together, I have like the cohort, which is about 17 weeks. I have this 8 week process, which was only on Saturdays in the morning. Oh my God. You want to talk about somebody that was. I was low key salty because I was like, I'm really giving up my Saturday mornings for this when I could just be kind of like, I wasn't the type of person that liked to sleep in per se, but I think it was the fact that it was like, be ready by 8 a.m. I think it was like, be ready by 8 a.m. and then we would get picked up and it wouldn't start until 9 a.m. I was just like, ugh. I was like, okay. And I mean, I'll touch on it in a little bit when we get into June. But yeah, I decided that, hey, I think I need to go ahead and really start seeing what I'm made of. And I added that on to my repertoire of like, hey, I'm doing HVAC stuff, now I'm doing this. And it was fun. I decided to go with I went off of the basis of having like a local service dedicated to helping people get more technologically literate and understanding of their devices, because I feel like that is always a very major thing, is how do I use my XYZ? And I felt like I could be somebody that could help build an understanding of what exactly you're using, how to navigate it, how to find certain things, and just be comfortable with utilizing your technology, your devices, and not feel like, oh my god, I gotta go and get like a specialist or find my my nephew or whatever, my child. And it's like in retrospect, it's like you think about, it's like, well, how would I be different than if you're looking at a YouTube video, or if you decide to go to a free resource like a family member. And that's when I had to start thinking about, how do I showcase myself as something greater than, or something more useful than these options, because that would be my immediate competitor. So it was fun having to think in that manner. We get into the month of June, and you want to talk about really starting to get in the bag. So of course this is supposed to be the month of the queers. I didn't attend a Pride event, unfortunately. I just decided, hey, I rather focus on just strengthening pre-existing relationships, and also just being locked in with finishing school, and also starting the blog, which for most of you are probably listening to this on, unless you're too bougie and you're just like, I'm just gonna wait for the Spotify. So I mean, that's fine. The blog is always gonna be there for as long as I'm willing to keep doing stuff with it, as long as I don't get shut down by anybody. Yeah. So yeah, in June, I had decided, yeah, we're going to just go ahead and start the blog. So, for those that are in the know, I initially started on Blogger. And I decided, yeah, Blogger is going to be like, it's an OG. I'm sure a lot of people that are over the age of 30 are familiar with that page, if you will, that service. But then I got to talking to a specific bean who I would like to mention, Itsy Spitsy, or Spitsy Speaks JP at this point. Um, and she put me on to Substack, actually, because I was just asking around. I was like, do you know of any other potential service pages for this? And she had brought up Substack. She brought up a couple of other places, because I was also looking for some guidance on just having kind of like my own domain, if you will. But I came to Substack, I checked it out. I was like, yo, this UI, I'm feeling this UI. I like that there's somewhat of a social setting where you can get in contact with other creative minds and see their work and see what they're progressing through. You can kind of follow each other, but it's not like, hey, like let's run up those numbers and let's get as many likes and restacks and all this other crap. No, it's just like, hey, here's my work. If you're interested, it's laid out for you. I'm not having to worry about the algorithm burying all my shit or anything. Not trying to have to worry about following any sort of like trends or seeing how I can utilize this one neat trick to get more people to see my shit. It's just, hey, for as much as I'm willing to post and talk about it and share with people, that is how much I'm going to be able to get back. And yeah, I've been very happy with my time here on Substack. I love what I've been able to kind of do for myself, getting more comfortable talking about myself, getting more comfortable trying to talk about certain things, and also giving me a reason to want to start learning about more stuff so I can talk about more stuff, kind of give my viewpoint, or maybe even share it with certain people that they're not really in the know. That's eventually something I would like to do, especially when it comes to like having sit down conversations with people. I definitely want to be able to have more conversations with other individuals and really kind of get their viewpoints on things. So that's something to strive for if I'm talking about what I want to do in 2025. But we're not done with June. June was Juning for me. I was really out here outside having a good old time. So much so that a person that I had been spending a couple of weeks yapping with on Timey, if you're familiar with that app, that's a love. I've noticed that there's been a couple of ads for that app that I've come across, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Um, I can probably touch on that a little bit after I'm done with this. But I came across this one individual. I will. I've talked about it on my blog as far as my experience hanging out with this person. I love him to death. Little trans mass being, but I gave him the nickname of Poofs because of the amazing hair that he likes to rock. But yeah, in the month of June, I decided, hey, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna spend a day vibing with this amazing little bean, and it was fantastic. I like if it were the option of attending like the local Pride festival or going to hang out with Poofs, I would have chosen Poofs several times over just because I enjoyed the company. I enjoyed just having that initial sit down conversation and meet with him, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I needed something like that. I needed to be able to just go. It wasn't necessarily on a whim. Like I had planned it out the week prior. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna just make a day of it. I was thinking about, well, do I want to spend the weekend? I was like, no, I don't really have the funds for that. So yeah, but that good grief. I got to experience a lot of different things. That day in general was very jam packed for me because that wasn't the only thing that I did. In the morning, they had an indie game fest in at the who would have guessed it, at the Enoch Pratt Library. They had a lot of local game devs. I mean, I'll share the blog post if you want to go ahead and see some of the stuff and read about how things went. But yeah, seeing a lot of amazing upcoming indie games and such, and just realizing that maybe I am a little bit better at puzzle games than I thought. Because there was this one puzzle game based on Die that I played, and I was able to get through the entirety of the test build that they had, and I was like, bro, I don't really play puzzle games, but this was fun, and I was able to just kind of hyper fixate on it. They're like, yeah, you're one of the better runners for this, and I was like, oh, nice, thanks. So unfortunately, I forgot the name because I'm Babin, and I didn't think about like writing the name down or immediately going on my phone to try and wish list it on Steam. So I'm hoping one day I can just come across it. I didn't take a photo because I'm goofy like that. But yeah, I even did like a VR bowling, and that was interesting because I that was like my first actual time using VR. So yeah, I did that, and then I went ahead and I hopped on a light rail to take it all the way down to the BWI airport, and then I ended up going and hopping on the Mark train, which is like the regional train, and that took me all the way to DC, and we just got to going, and I just spent the whole day with Poofs, and it was fantastic. I loved every bit of it, even 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 with missing damn near missing the last train back to Baltimore, which would have sucked because I mean I didn't like Booth wouldn't have been able to really house me, and I would have just been stuck in DC. So yeah, um, to cap off the June month, I because I touched on it in the last month, I ended up getting into my graduation for the cohort. And who would have friggin' guessed, right? Who would have friggin' guessed? I was the one that was tasked with speaking for because like the school that I was at, like it wasn't just HVAC. They had HVAC, they had CDL truck driving, and then they also had automotive. They were talking about drones or whatever, but that was never. I guess the money wasn't right, and they didn't have enough people to really put it together. It's whatever. But I was the representative for the HVAC cohort. Who would have guessed? Because I'm able to mask very well and present like I can. I'm comfortable speaking in front of people. So my beloved instructor was like, Sergi, you are, without a doubt, the most put together person. You killed all. You damn near killed every test. Like I wasn't the number one, but I was definitely in like the top four in as far as like when we did our exams, like top four in finishing. Like I was in the top four. I don't know. I forgot where I placed, but I know at least for I think I think 3 out of 5, either 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. I hit that perfect hundo, and I mean it was cakewalk. I mean the stuff was basic, so I can't really wave that as like a medal of honor or something. It's like yeah, it's just I'm paying attention to the content, I'm applying it, and like whenever we're doing our hands on, I'm picking up on the stuff pretty decently. Like as far as like the refrigerant retrieval, I do still need to work on that because like unfortunately we didn't have as much time with certain things like that specifically as far as hands on. So that's one thing that I definitely want to work on is like when it comes to retrieving refrigerant and as well as charging a system, etc., etc. I digress. Um, yeah, the the beloved uh, graduation. Yeah, it was fun. Turns out the mayor wasn't able to show up. Who would have thought? I'm okay with that because I didn't really care to see Homeboy anyways. Um, but yeah, I went ahead and I gave my lovely little speech, just as best as I could. Just talked about my experience going through that and what I'm striving to do going forward. I left the people with a nice little mic drop line of one thing that I had to keep in mind for myself is that things are always going to be difficult, but I have to look at it this way. Do I want to sit in the comforts of familiarity, or would I rather be willing to deal with the pain of progress? And I just left it at that, and everybody's just like, "Yeah, oh my god, that was amazing!" Like after the whole ceremony, everybody's like, "Oh my god, that was such a rousing speech," and I was just like, "Gee, thanks, man." And I was just like, "Can I leave now?" It's like, yeah. So I know how to put words together sometimes to make people just kind of ooze. I guess I don't know. I was just glad when it was over and I was able to move on with my life. All things considered, I didn't hate the opportunity. I will say I did hate having to deal with certain people, but I mean that's life, is it not? And also, I'm not gonna glance over the fact that I also finished up my cohort. Yeah, I finished up my cohort, or I guess quote in asterisk finished up my cohort because I ended up missing. I ended up missing like I think 2 weeks, and that was like very, and I ended up missing 2 weeks, and those were like very important weeks. But I know one of the weeks I was just sick as hell. I was not about to drag myself out there. No, I wasn't. So I was unable to really finish my project. So I mean, they didn't have a placard for me or anything, and I was like, I was okay with that. Whenever we had our closing ceremony, I went ahead and I just got up there because we're supposed to talk about our product and our or product or service, whatever. And I just said, hey, let me just get this out the way. It's like, hey, yeah, so I was not here for like 2 of the last weeks, and I apologize for that. I was sick, and I was also dealing with school, so I would just go ahead and yap about my experience with this and how I look forward to trying to pursue this in the future. I thank everybody for this opportunity and blase blase. Just very professional, just owning up to the fact that I didn't finish, and I just left it at that. And again, just another scenario, people are like, that was some real shit. I like that you were able to just get up there like and just explain that, hey, I didn't do the thing. I was like, yeah, I mean, I didn't. Like, what am I gonna do? Sit here and try and peddle you some shit that's not finished? I'm not gonna do that. Just being willing to own up to my failures, or, well, not necessarily failures, but just own up to the fact that I didn't finish something. So, yeah, apparently that resonated with a lot of people, and they were just very happy that I was willing to tip off because the coordinators, they were just like, okay, we need somebody to go ahead and get us started with this whole thing, and everybody's got that whole stage fright, and I'm just like, oh god, I know when this happens I gotta be the person, because everybody else is like, oh my god, I can't do this, and I'm like, I can't do this, but I have to do this because nobody else is gonna do this, and they're gonna start picking people, and then if I don't go first, I'm not gonna want to go at all. So yeah, that's how June went. June was jam packed, and I loved every bit of it. Oh man, July though, July was kind of a cooling off month for me. Like, it really was kind of a cooling off month, and which is funny to consider because I mean it was still hot as sin, but I pretty much just I was sticking with the main stuff of exploring more of Baltimore and other neighboring parts of that area. Of course, still utilizing the bus pass until it was like the end of time. So, um, and I eventually met a couple of queers. I had taken a bus out to the northern portion of Baltimore, where I found this store. By far, outside of Winco, which is predominantly west, like western, southwestern, and all that stuff. This is like my favorite grocery store to shop at, and it is Lidl. Lidl is predominantly East Coast, and like you can find some in Georgia. I know that much. Tennessee is not cool enough to have that. I'm so salty. But dang man, like I went to Lidl, I got some groceries, and I came across this person that I noticed had an NB hat, and I just started yapping with them, and they actually put me onto this Discord group that they had for queers and such. So I was like, oh yeah, I finally found some people. I found my people. So that was nice. That was like the highlight, I would say, of July. It was nothing extravagant for that month, I would say, aside from putting in motion that I was going to be going to Tennessee to see my lovelies in August. So there I go, making that segue into what took place in the month of August. Psych, no, I'm not going to do that to you, because let's not forget that that was my very first ever guest podcast with my beloved Bean Kaimote. Yeah. Not gonna forget about her. That's my dog. That's my dog right there. I love me some Kaimote. So make sure you support her. Okay. But yeah, rewinding into the segue part. Yeah, August. Oh my god, August. I decided to go ahead and go to Nashville to see my lovelies. tip off. When I went ahead and I made my journey to the airport that I was leaving out of, I actually got there super early. And as a result of such, it allowed me the opportunity to fly out earlier than expected. Like, I got there at least several hours early. I think I was going to be there in the afternoon, but I ended up being there before like noon, which was crazy. But I mean, hey, I'm grateful for that. That was pretty sick. I ended up staying at the airport for most of the day because who I was going to be getting picked up from, excuse me, um, my sippy, they were not there. They were not home yet. So I just chilling at the airport. I ended up spending the night at Dex's place. Shouts out to Dex. Thank you so much for letting me crash at your place for the night on emergency. It was pretty sick. So yeah, that was kind of how my August tipped off. And then for the rest of the month, it was just hanging out with whomever I could, whenever I could. I was staying at Amani's place for most of the time, but I spent about a week with Jess. And with Jess, we got to go ahead and go to a couple of local parks and walkways. We went to this pretty dope antique place that they still rave about, and they talk to me to this day about it almost any chance that they get, because they always find some pretty dope things at this antique place. When it came to being with Amani, it was mostly just hanging out, talking creativity and queer stuff, as well as going to parks to watch them rollerblade or greenways while they rollerblade and I walk, or just hanging out with either one of their partners or friends. And then we eventually got to the first museum to look at one of the exhibits that they had at that moment in time. It was really dope. Really had fun at that. August was very much just getting in touch with people that I'd not seen in like over a year, and it felt really nice. So it kind of befuddles me that I was so ready to just leave that again with following up into September. September and October, if I could, I would love to not think about those as much. But I mean, they happened. It is what it is. I can't look past what happened. I go to Arizona. So with that, right, being in Arizona, it wasn't so much a spur of the moment thing as it was, hey, I had talked to my friend and I was explaining some of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to see if I could relocate to Arizona and try and make that like my next place of residency. Prior to that, I was in Utah. That was the only other state that I had lived in terms of out west. So it was a bit of a gamble. Plus, like, the timing wasn't really the best when I went to Arizona because my friend that I was staying with, originally I was going to stay with them specifically until about December, but they had a lot of things going on and they were trying to kind of reset essentially for like the upcoming year. And they also had some construction going on at their place. So I ended up only staying there until the end of September, which led me into October, and honestly, the worst month for me. I mean, it is what it is. I can't really uh, go back in time and fix that. It happened, and yeah, for those that are already familiar with how the month of October went for me, yeah, here I stand. For those not in the know, I was in a shelter. I was homeless. I was very, very badly depressed, and I was pretty much at the end of my rope. And I can't really sugarcoat that. It sucked. It sucked all around. I hated everything that was going on with that. Um, which disappoints me because October, that's my month. I love October. I love everything about October. I'm super biased. I say it's the best month in the year, bar none. I don't care what you have to say. You guys don't got it like we do in October. I feel like that's like peak. That's like peak time of the year, in my opinion. I mean, we have so many different things to go on in the month of October. Not even just talking about Halloween. So yeah, um, it was very stressful, especially dealing with like a whole lot of different people that were trying to figure out their next move when it comes to being in a shelter. So I can't really sit here and say that I was doing any better than them. I just knew that I wanted to get to a better place overall. And it was just hard. It was hard to like navigate during that time for me. Just trying to find work, trying to find myself again, trying to find somewhere else that I could stay. It's just, yeah, that I wasn't anything during that time. And the fact that going through that month and getting to being at October 25th, where I ended up netting myself a job finally with Walmart. And it's crazy to think about how that all transcribed for me. And honestly, I'm really glad that I was able to um, do what I did what I did with them. Because if I could just be very transparent, I don't know where I would as have, far as like physically or mentally. So yeah, I go to this store first thing in the morning. I catch it before everybody's running in, trying to get their early day shopping or whatever, or pre-work shopping. And I talk to the people at the customer service. I'm like, hey, my name is Sergi. I put in an application a couple of weeks ago. I want to do a follow up, see if there's any chance that I could talk with the hiring manager. And honestly, I feel like the ancestors were with me on that fateful morning, because everything just kind of fell into place picture perfectly. I was able to get in contact with the hiring manager like 10 minutes later. I talk with the hiring manager. I was very straightforward, cut and dry with them, but I was also able to kind of be relatable. I found out that they were big into K-pop and anime and a whole bunch of other stuff. It was super cool. Um, and I was also kind of applying a little bit of Southern charm. I can't deny that I was utilizing a little bit of Southern charm there. So, with all that just in play, I was able to convince the hiring manager to go ahead and do like an on the spot interview. Then I was able to meet with the coach, as they call them, the kind of the step above, not necessarily. Well, I guess you could say shift leads, but like coaches. Yeah, pretty much tasked with helping people improve in the lovely establishment that is the Wally World. And it's funny because I actually bumped into him. He was one of the first people I said good morning to. It was very much like an anime slash RPG moment where it's like you just kind of see this person. They don't really have like a name yet, but it's like I'm probably gonna have to run into that person some other point in time. And lo and behold, there he is. And I went ahead and I chatted with him, gave him my background, I explained that, hey, yeah, I've been with Walmart before in the past, and I have. I worked with them back in 2018 when I was in Utah. So how full circle? Just me and Wally World, and Wally World is very much my go-to when I'm out west, I guess. I don't know. So I did all that, and I turned around and I was able to get set up with a second interview, all in the same hour, mind you. And then they decided, because the person I would have sat down and talked to, he was super busy. They decided to just say, you know what, scratch that. We're going to expedite it. We're going to put you in for orientation. So within an hour's time, I had done a speed run of getting hired, when I had been spending about three and a half weeks trying to get hired by them. So yeah, I it was just me following the ancestors' guidance of just go ahead and make it work for you, and that's what I did. Um, Granted, it's Wally World and they're making the choices that they're making right now. I'm grateful that I was able to get employed because then that meant that I was able to start making money, which meant that I was able to get to the point that I'm at right now. So while I'm not really a big fan of them, I do thank them for getting me where I'm at, which is back around my lovelies, which I mean, that means the world to me. So, yeah. That's how the month of October closed out for me, and it was like a massive boost to my just everything. It was just a major boost. Like I went from like, oh, I hate everything, and it's like maybe I need to leave this plane of existence. To well, we're so back. We are so back. But it's like that was just like surface level thing. Like there's still stuff that had to get worked on, but that helped a lot because it's like now I don't have that overbearing stress and weight of like, oh no, I don't have any money and I'm stuck at this shelter and I'm just forced to essentially just be at their beck and like be at their mercy essentially because like I can't sustain myself. I pretty much just have to rely on, oh yeah, well, their food, like the food was okay, but it's like it wasn't very plentiful. I mean, it's donations, so it's like there are some days where it's like there's not enough, there's not a lot, and it's like, okay, this is stressing me out because I'm not getting as much as far as like sustain like sustenance and all that, on top of dealing with people that were just absolute dickheads. Like, I mean, there are people that they've been through a lot. They've been through a lot of trauma, and I realize that they're kind of just gone, right? Like, I noticed a lot of people that they were just kind of not there. Like they would just be staring off into the distance, and I'm like, yeah, like they've been through a lot of shit, and it's like I feel like they're just trying to really process things or whatever. But Eh, you have a lot of people that they're just fucking idiots. And I'll touch on one of them in a minute. But yeah, that's how October went. November, we'll just get out of the way. I wasn't really surprised with the outcome of the election. One thing that I had to take into consideration is that us as humans, we excel at self sabotage, and we'll find a way to fuck things up. And I think a lot of people were really trying their damnedest to push the we need Kamala, or we're going to die. And it's like, that's fine, but you have to realize that there's a whole other side. This, like, brother, we want this because we don't care. And they, and it's so funny considering how a lot of them are right now, where it's like, yeah, we kind of made a bad choice because now it's like he's gone out of his way to showcase that no, I actually did lie to you guys. And I think it's funny. I think it's actually hilarious because like you did this to yourself. So I mean, just deal with it. Deal with it like you wanted us to deal with it. So yeah, I wasn't really surprised. I think even the day before I was like, yeah, I think they're gonna go ahead and find a way to get him the W. So yeah, I mean, call it pessimism, whatever. It's just I'm not really surprised. Uh, I mean, I still voted, but I was just like, I already know where this is going. So that was the tip off for the month. And my whole thing is like, look, especially with being in Arizona, and I knew that that was a swing state, but I mean, for me personally, it felt more red than anything, especially where I was at. And I just took it as, look, as long as I'm not dealing directly with a bunch of you fuckheads, this could possibly work. Because I was not really seeing a lot of local like gatherings that were trying to at least make a play to try and build some sort of community for whatever was about to happen. That was one thing that I could take away from my time in like Arizona. I think I was just in an area where people were very much set on, hey, this is what it's going to be, so deal with it. So I just said, hey, well, that's fine. That gives me reason to not stay, I guess, or at least try and find something different. Like I was thinking about going to New Mexico at that point. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to stay in AZ. Like New Mexico seems pretty decent. It's definitely a lot cooler than here because at that point it was still like in the 80s, kind of some days were 90s. Like in November, it was just, ugh. It wasn't until near the end of the month where it started to kind of mellow out and be more like 70, which is still crazy to think about in like November, almost December. So wild. But November was November. I feel like was kind of coattailing the things that I had to deal with in October, which I guess makes sense. Because I mean, at this point, during this time, I was still dealing with being in the shelter, but I'm working. I'm working full time. I'm getting my ass up first thing in the morning, going to the job. I didn't have to clock out. I clocked out at like 4, but I would try and stay until like 5, 6, which in some cases was a detriment because dinner at the shelter was always like 6 to 7, but realistically it was like more like 6 to 6:30, and then just half an hour of just people kind of sitting around yapping and just carrying on until it was time to like clean up and all that crap. So like the food will probably be gone in like the first 20 minutes. But I mean there were just some days I was like, I don't care, man. It wasn't like I was using my money to buy food so I wouldn't go hungry. It's like it was that bad where it's like I will go hungry if it means that I don't have to sit around as much at the shelter during the time that people are awake. Because I would get there, I would take my shower, and I would just immediately go and lay up in my bed and just try and blot out as much noise as possible. But yeah, it was just getting bad, and I would feel like that might have contributed to it, my lack of nutrition on some days, but also just people not wanting to understand that there are other people that are going through things, and that it's not just you, this you plus other people. And it's like, yeah, the conditions of the shelter, they weren't horrible. Because apparently there was a way worse shelter, and I'm glad I didn't get suggested to that. But like you're talking about 100 dudes, and the bed situation, like it was kind of like they had these metal dividers that turned them into like little bays and stuff, and it was just the bed and a tiny open-ended cubby where you could store stuff, and then you just keep your clothes in like a plastic bin that you kept under your bed, and that was it. They had a lot of issues with people stealing shit and whatnot, this and whatnot, and carrying on, and just it. That wasn't really the issue. It was just people being people, and it's like I had to deal with two different people that were just really irking me to the last bit. And it got to the point where I was like, look, I need to find somewhere else because for these guys, they probably aren't doing anything with themselves as far as progress. It's not my place to say that, but I know what I'm working towards, and I would like to continue working towards getting my own place. I have this job, I'm working full time, I work 5 days out of the week. I need to be somewhere else because I'm tired of this. Because I wasn't getting great sleep. I wasn't getting great sleep. People carrying on all night, making various noises and all this other stuff, being very disruptive, and all this, and just yeah, I just got tired of it. I got really tired of it because I snapped on one person because it's like they knew good and well what they were doing, but I snapped on them and I was like, "Yo, you got to stop doing this shit, okay?" Like I'm over here trying to get myself some good rest because I have a job that I go to because I want to get the fuck up out of here. I don't want to be around y'all. And it was like at that point, I was like, yo, get me out of here. And thankfully, they were able to put me in a different place. They, like, near the end of the month, they were able to get me transferred over to this smaller house. It was an actual house. And my goodness, it was a night. It was truly night and day. To go from a place that housed like about 100 dudes, there was like extremely, uh, I guess you could say, surveyed, in a sense of like you have people that are constantly going around checking in this, that, and the third. You have to do this weird check-in system, and you're not allowed to have your bag at your bed, and all these other things. You're not allowed to have personal bottles and stuff, and just very restrictive. But I understand why. But it was just like, damn, like I would be nice to have my own like personal bottle of water rather than just a damn plastic cup. And but I went from that to the bridge to housing, and I was like, yeah, we don't do those check-ins because like we know that you're working and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is heavenly. And it's like my bedroom, like I had a bedroom that I went to. It had a closet. I could have all my stuff there. I even had like a foot locker where I could keep extra things. And I was able to keep all my things by my person and all that such. It was really nice. Had a much more comfortable bed that had an outlet that I could like charge my devices at. Because that was another thing. It was a minor thing, but it's like being able to have charge my phone overnight and not have to worry about it dying, because it's like I would like it got to a point where I had to start using sleep noises sometimes just to kind of drown out all the excess. But it's like my earbuds could never stay in my ear, so I just had to try and make do, because I can't, like, earplugs don't work for me. Like those orange foamy ones do not fit in my ear. They do not stay in my ear. I have to have some special like ribbed ones or whatever the crap. But I digress. Going to this place, it was really nice. I really liked it. Uh, in a nice, because that was one thing about the shelter. It's like I felt like I had to hike like over a mile to get to any place decent, as far as like, especially when it came to like the bus stop. But this place, I could just walk outside and it's like the bus stop is right across the street and I could get where I need to go. So, and that was super clutch. But I was only there for about a week and a half, and I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like a week and a half helped me so much when it came to fixing at least a portion of my sleep issues. So it I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I was able to get the help that I needed because they saw that I was actually trying to do something with myself. And I mean, that's what it really comes down to, is when it comes to having a shelter. Like, it should be about, let's uplift these people that they're in a rough spot and try and get them somewhere as soon as possible. Okay, because I get that there are some people, they don't really give a shit. They've made their choice. That is their happiness. Is like, hey, I can stay at this place. I don't have to really abide by too many rules. I don't really have to worry about anything. If I want to just sit here, fart around, watch TV all day, or do whatever, then cool. That's all I need. Maybe in a few months I'll look at trying to get a job so I can make a little bit of money. Because that I literally came across a guy that told me that. I was like, hey, if that's what works for you, I feel that. But for me, I gotta get I gotta get somewhere else. Because there are a lot of things that I still would like to try and accomplish and strive for, and this is not a place that I look at as my stopping point. So yeah, I'm grateful that I was able to get through that, especially because it's like there was another guy that I meant to talk about. This homie just, I'm gonna call him Timu Slim Shady, because that's literally who he looked like and how he sounded. And homie was just, this is when I had to get into my petty bag, because I was doing laundry one day, and I my clothes got done, and I was like, oh wait, I see that there's I checked there's only like 4 dryers, and it's like they're all full, unfortunately. But I realized that the bottom two, because they were front loading, the bottom two were full. Like, they weren't even full. Like, each one had at least three pieces of clothing. And I'm not talking about like, oh, big jackets or pants. It's like a hoodie, and each one had like what, a pair of shorts, two t-shirts, and a pair of jeans. I was like, so there's literally like two outfits and two different dryers. And I was like, okay. And I mean, the dryers are done. Like, they're not still going, they're done. By the time my stuff was done, they were done. Or rather, when my stuff was getting ready to be done, they were done. And I was just like, okay, let me just. And I realized whose stuff it was because I saw like one of the hoodies, and I remembered, okay, that's homie. I knew who it was. I was like, he was just sitting outside. He was sitting outside in the like day room talking to somebody. And I was like, oh yeah, hey man, I saw that your stuff got finished drying. And then he was like, no, it's not. And I was like, all right. So he went in there. He looked at the stuff, and he proceeded to like flop it around. And it's like, that's something that I did. Like, I don't like touching people's stuff, but it's like I looked and I was like, okay, this actually looks like it's dry. So it's like he just looked at it, like touched it a little bit, and then he just went ahead, he closed the doors, and he proceeded to put more time on it. I was like, wait, I like, hey, you mind if I just use one of those dryers? Like, can you put your stuff together and I use one of those dryers? He's like, no, man, I like, that's not my problem. I got stuff to do. I was like, okay, I got shit to do too. Why do you need two fucking dryers to use for like six pieces of clothes? And I was like, all right, bet. So I allowed myself to be petty for once, and I put one of the outfits together with the other one because I was like, there's no way you need these to, like, you don't need both, okay? Like, I got a full thing of clothes that I need to dry because I also have stuff that I need to do for that day. Was I right? Fuck no. Did he bitch about it? Did he get in my face about it? Yes, of course. Because why wouldn't he? Because he's mad that I'm matching his energy. And I was like, tough titty. And then you want to sit here, you want to get in my face and talk about see me outside. I'm like, how about I go ahead and get charges put on you? Because why the fuck? Why the fuck are you so butt mad? I That's all I ask is for you to go ahead and be courteous. Okay? Clearly, these have been dried once, and it's not like it's a full load. Okay? Sure, it might still be a little bit damp, but at this point, why not just dry them together? It's not like if I were to request, if you're like washing things and there are certain things you don't wash together. This is the drying segment, and they've clearly gone through and been dried once already. So why are you going to be a bitch and be like, no, I'm going to use up all the dryers? I don't care. Like, okay. So don't be mad when somebody matches your energy. So that was also a contributing factor to me needing to leave because I did not have time for that. Yeah, that's how November really went for me. It was just it was entertaining. And now we are here in the month of December. Wowie, wow, 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 wow. Um, it's crazy to think that this month has already essentially come to an end. Um, oh yeah, I'm tripping. I'm tripping balls. So actually, November ended with me leaving Walmart. I went ahead and I decided, yeah, I'm not gonna continue on with this. I talked to my coach as well as the hiring manager. So like, hey, so yeah, I'm gonna actually be leaving. I do apologize. I know I've only been here for a month, but in terms of like my mental health and things, this just ain't it, Chief. I thank you for the opportunity. Uh, I'll see about trying to rejoin at a different Walmart, which was a bold faced lie. And yeah, it was uh, it was necessary because like even with being able to get into that new place, and thankfully they weren't like checking to make sure that you were at, because the place that I had ended up getting into after the shelter, their whole thing was like, yeah, this is for people that are working, and it's like you only stay here for a month. And then if need be, we can give you more time. But thankfully for me, I only needed like about a week and a half, and I was out of that bad boy. So, and they weren't like, oh yeah, so we need to see your schedule and all this other stuff, because that was one of the things that I was trying to like see if they were gonna be anal about, right? But that last day of work was everything I needed. I ended up working in the cosmetics department, which is like my favorite department because I mean I get to see all the cosmetics and I kind of get to think about, oh well, maybe I'd use this, or in terms of fragrances, because I'm not a fragrance girly like that. I'm still learning, so I was able to kind of get a feel for, okay, maybe this works for me, or oh, maybe I'd like to have something like this, but I need a cheaper version of that. It was fun. And it was like, even if it was busy in the cosmetics department, I could get people in and out with no problem and still be able to like help other people. And I had fun with it. Like, cosmetics department was super chill. The only issue was like if I needed to suspend or cancel a order, or yeah, because I didn't have numbers like that, and they never really put somebody over there that had numbers like that. Because why would they? But for that last day, being in the cosmetics department, it was super chill. I didn't really have to stress about anything. We had everything we needed. And then I even got to come across a couple of trans people, and I was just like, had I come across y'all sooner, I might have felt a lot better about being here. Because it's like, I felt like every day it was just, oh, yes, it's another middle aged to older white person, this a Trump supporter. Amazing. How quaint, how convenient. And I was like, oh, wait, no, I'm actually finally seeing some trans people. And one in particular I actually ran into, she had come by at least 3 times in that day. And one of the times she came with 2 of her friends, and they did like their little group shopping, and it was fun. It made me feel really good to see everybody. But the last time she came by, I was like, hey, I talked to my coworker. I was like, give me a sec. I'm going to go ahead and talk to somebody real quick. And I just went ahead and I talked to her. I just told her, hey, I'm so glad that I got to see you and your friends and everything, and just what it meant to me. And I didn't get her information. So, but yeah, it was necessary, because it's like I felt like I really didn't see a lot of queers, let alone trans people or gender diverse people. Like, sure, I might see like a gay person or a lesbian person. I've met a one person that was pan on the bus, but it's like, I mean, they were all cis. They were all cis. They were all cisgender. So it was good to go a step beyond and see somebody that identified outside the binary, or they were identifying as trans, and I was just like, God, this is what I needed. This means everything. So yeah, now into the month of December. I mean, that last month leading up until when I was gonna go and fly out, which was the 7th of December. I'm glad I made it the 7th of December. I don't know if I would have made it to the 14th, honestly. But yeah, I ended up just kind of keeping it low key and such, and very chill. Didn't really do anything extravagant for those last few days. I would just go out and kind of do stuff, and I hit up a couple of different places. Like, I went by Arizona State and everything in Tempe, and just got my last few adventures in before I flew out. On the Friday before, I ended up going and uh, getting back to Bood's place so I could get the rest of my stuff. And I just spent the night there. I didn't even get a full night's sleep. Ain't that crazy? I went to bed probably like 9. I woke up at like 1 a.m. and I was just up. And my flight wasn't until like it wasn't even until like 9. My flight wasn't gonna be until like 9:40. So yeah, that's how that went. I was up from 1 a.m. until like the rest of the day. The rest of the day. Because then it's like, okay, I got to the airport. I didn't, obviously, I wasn't going to go to sleep. I was in my finest of fits. I had my Sanrio hoodie, my cute purple and pink and black skirt with the pumps and the fuzzy socks and the tights, and I was peak. I was peak. I actually got that photo somewhere on my phone. I had when I got into Nashville, I had Amani take a photo of me. I actually changed the socks because they were a little too bulky and they were actually like crunching my feet in my boots. So, man. But yeah, as far as like the past few weeks, it's just been me trying to process everything that has happened this year, right? As it goes, and just kind of trying to make space for myself specifically, and just dealing with emotions as they come, just kind of letting them be, but not trying to be too much of a bitch, as indicated by my previous post. Oof. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Now I wanted to go ahead and take a moment because I wanted to go ahead and acknowledge some things that I got into for the year, because that's what we do here. As far as this year, I didn't really do a lot of reading. Like, yeah, I was at the library, but that was more so just for like digital things and their events. Like, I read some books, but unfortunately, because I have like next to no memory right now, I don't remember a lot of them. But the two books that really stood out for me was Iron Widow by Zoran Jezal. This I follow them on Instagram, so I'll probably take a moment to link their page. And then the other book, which I mean, this is my book of the year because it's very much telling a story that I feel like I can relate to on a lot of levels, and that is The Risk It Takes to Bloom by Raquel Willis. When I say reading this book, it hit so many different chords for me, is just the fact that it's like a black queer growing up in the South during the 90s. Like, we're about the same age, me and Raquel, and just seeing her journey through everything and where she's at right now, I was just like, God, man, like, it's just, it made me think about a lot of things that I did not act on, but I still have the capacity to. Like, it's not over. Like, she was able to get into things a lot earlier than I was, but I didn't. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything. That just means she was ahead of the curve in her own way. Me, it doesn't matter if it's gonna take me a little bit longer. So yeah. In terms of movies, I mean, I watched a lot of different movies, but it was more so just to fill dead air. And but some movies that really stuck out for me. Two of them I actually watched with Jess. Sorry to Bother You and The Clone Tyrone. When I say it feels good to see black centric films, I can't express how fun it was to see both those movies. If you haven't seen those movies, I implore you to watch them when you get a chance. Um, Another movie that I watched, it was on my own, was Boy Kills World. That one I stumbled across because the cover art looked interesting, and I decided why not listen. Oh God, I'm trying to remember the synopsis because it's been a while since I watched it. But essentially, a young boy is taken by a shaman to be turned into the ultimate weapon to take down a tyrannical family that apparently killed his family, the shaman. And come to find out, there's actually like a whole bunch of no, actually, this is how it went. Also, the main character apparently can't speak; he's mute. So he is voiced by the one and only John H. Benjamin, also known as Bob's Burgers or Archer. So yeah, it's a fun movie, fun movie to watch. I watched a lot of different horror films. I'm just gonna go ahead and give a list of them and just kind of like a maybe a one line synopsis or my take in one line for each one. And I also watched Deadpool and Wolverine. It was a fun film. I think me personally, I still enjoyed Deadpool 2 a lot more, but I understand how significant that movie is and will continue to be. Yeah, yeah, that's as far as like movies. There's a whole bunch of other movies that I watched that I'm just gonna probably put into a list and just break down a little bit more in depth once I'm done recording this. In terms of people that I would like to acknowledge, though, I would like to acknowledge the holy queer trinity as one, that being Amani, that being Jess, that being Dex. You guys are everything to me when it comes to being here in Tennessee. I I am awaiting the day that I can have all three of you in one place together, because then we will be able to finally activate the Triforce. I'm telling you, man, it's got to happen. I've had Amani with Jess and I've had Amani with Dex. I need the big three. We're going to make this happen. I don't know how, I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And it's going to be beautiful. Outside of that, I want to give thanks to my fellow October babies in the twins, the two-thirds of the triplets that we make, the twins, Nat and Key of Nat and Key Customs fame. You guys are amazing. You're a duo that I came across when being on the internets and being on threads and such. And I was like, yo, these two are just like me for real. It was great to see you guys in person back in like the summer for the con that you guys went to. You guys had a table there. Considering the mess that you guys had went through at that point, just being able to see you guys be able to make something out of nothing, it was great. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have cooking for 2025, for real, for real. So yeah, and we have to set up for uh, exchanging podcast episodes, because I want to be on your podcast, which I'm going to link here, and I need y'all on my podcast. It's got to happen. It's going to be beautiful. It's what the people need. It's what the culture needs. So, yeah. Another person that I would like to give thanks to is Corby. Corby, my dear, one of my most beloved beings, hailing from ye old Chicago. You and I are kind of in like the similar positions, as far as just we've been dealing with a lot of shit, and we're trying to get where we need to be and where we deserve to be. And just being able to have talked to you, even in the small bits that we have, it has been necessary. And I love you so much. And I love Aquila, your precious pupper, so much. And 2025, I want to manifest it for you that there will be a proper year for you, that things are going to really start coming together as they should for you. Okay? You keep on being amazing, and we'll make more time to chat. Another person, and they are so important to me, is GB, Gentle Brown Baby. Nikki, my dear, I've known you for quite a bit, and I honestly can't thank you enough for everything that you do for me and all the time that you're able to make when it comes to just chatting with me or what have you. I I love what you've been able to do when it comes to like artwork and such, and things that you're constantly trying to improve upon, not even just art, but just in life. Things that you're building with your partner and your small child. it just warms my heart, and it makes me happy that I'm able to know somebody like you. And I just can't think of any other person that I would want to have in my corner that is equally as degenerate. That is equally as degenerate as myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you for everything, my dear. But I feel like I might be forgetting someone here. Somebody of the squishy persuasion. Maybe, maybe. But yes, Kitty Keats, meow meow, Miss Kitty, Kitty. Kitty. You have been nothing short of chaotic, and I love that for you. You're somebody that helps me stay in tune with my chaotic side. I appreciate that, but also you're somebody that helps me get more connected with emotions as well as with just dealing with life as life comes. You're somebody that, just like Corby, that I know has been going through a lot of shit and continues to go through a lot of shit, but you are doing your best to power through it in whatever way you know how to. And I feel like whatever you're about to cook up in this upcoming year is going to be sensational. And I look forward to being around as much as possible to witness that growth, my dear. And I guess as much as I don't need to, I give my congratulations to you for being my most watched person on Twitch. Like, this really was the year of the kitty. This really was the year of the litter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sticking around and being as much of a menace as possible in the chat and in the DMs and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I love you, my dear, and you continue to be a chaotic mess. Smooches. This last person I do want to go ahead and give acknowledgement to because her content has been really awesome to watch. And just being able to talk with her a little bit, my Beanie Senpai Abortress PSX. You have been you have been giving me the big vibes in terms of like the references that you make and a lot of the games that you play and whatnot. And then the fact that we're both big wrestling nerds, it has been a pleasure to find somebody like yourself. And I mean, I'm only just really getting to understand like who you are as a person, but I'm excited to form more of a like friendship or what have you going forward, cuz like nowadays it's been weird for me when it comes to trying to like get to know people. Like I feel like I've been out of touch. I don't know if that makes sense, but being able to find people where it's like I just kind of click without having to really do anything extravagant. Yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling, but at the same time, it's like it's really good to come across somebody where it's like, yo, I understand that person, or yo, I feel this. Like, it's always really nice. So thank you, Bordy, for everything that you've been doing, and I look forward to seeing what Bordy has cooking up in 2025 as well. Like, for real, seriously. So yeah, I think that about sums it up for what I had in mind for this. It's nice to be able to kind of get back into the swing of like a longer form episode. I actually had to break this up into two individual parts, so if it feels like there's a weird disconnect, that's why. I do apologize. Also, I was recording this on something that only had like about an hour maximum for recording. So, yeah, um, I just went ahead and decided to put like a. That's why I kind of put that one little uh song in the middle of the thing. But in terms of what I'm going to be when the next pod episode is going to be, I think I might shoot for later in the month of January. I might finally pull the trigger on doing like an episode a month unless something comes up. Cause like the whole 2 episodes a month, it's not terrible, but at the same time, I feel like it would be better suited that I kind of reduce that. That way, I can focus on writing more. Like maybe I can do like little short voice bits here and there just to kind of get comfortable with talking more. But as far as like an actual podcast, probably not going to be as frequent. If I had to talk about like an project that I did this year that I was really excited about doing, is probably the one where I talked about wrestling. I had like 2 different podcast episodes back to back talking about wrestling. I'd like to try and do more projects like that in the next couple of months. Just getting really passionate about yapping about something. So, and of course, sitting down and talking with more people. That's what I need to work on, is being able to talk with people and discuss things. Because, I mean, like some of the ones that I do is like, yeah, being able to sit down and just kind of pick their brain about what they're into, but also just touching bases on something that might be a little bit more neutral, right? So, that's what briefly lies ahead. Uh, for those that are listening, uh, on the blog, please feel free to scroll down and see all the stuff that I've touched bases on that I said I was going to share in like list form or in link form or even in photo form. Uh, and for you, Jess, since you're bougie and you only listen on Spotify, you need to go to the blog as well and subscribe to me, punk. Do it so you can catch all this stuff too, man. Dang. But I'm messing with you. You guys enjoy the last bit of this year. Keep me posted on anything. And I've taken a little bit of a break from Instagram. That's kind of prefacing to certain things. But yeah. I'll catch y'all around. I'll be on Threads or Blue Sky, maybe. Someone getting back into Instagram. Anyways, much love. Y'all already know what it is. You gotta stay caked up. You gotta stay healed up. And I'll catch y'all around. Bye bye.